Live tonight, it is the FEG Big Money Monday Night Truck Series. I'm Matt Egan, joined by Jacob Young. How you doing tonight, Jacob?
Doing really well. Looking forward to this race here tonight at Pocono with these trucks. It should be a fun one. It's always a fun one with these, just with the trucks in general, especially since it's lower horsepower, of course, but higher downforce makes for some fun racing. You have to stay close to the driver behind you, so that's going to play a big factor into this race tonight.
Yeah, lower horsepower, but it does not mean lower excitement. Let's take a look at that starting lineup. Row number 1, of course, Matthew Lee and Eli Warren, Peyton Howell, Jason Hunshell. Row 2, you'll be looking for Kenneth McCullough. Row 3, Kenneth McCullough Jr., Jake Hunshell, Aaron Smith, Chad Ross, Christopher McKeaton, Jim Westerfield, Jay Dargent, Rich Knott, David Cincini, Paul Munrain, Scott Glaslow, Chris Robertson, Jose Medina, and Jesse Thornock, Chris Heights, and James Roth, Austin Goen, Jeffrey Radtake, David Lindahl, Todd Keene, Derek Fulton, Marty Porter, rounding out your field. So I tell you what, man, we have got a full field of drivers. Well, not quite a full field, but nearly a full field. 26 trucks in total. Should be an exciting night here. 35 laps of scheduled distance, so a bit of a short one. If they go green to the end, I mean, we'll get it done in under an hour as we are rolling for the pace laps. Of course, Matthew Lee starting on pole. I don't think anyone's going to be surprised by that.
It's definitely not too shocking indeed. Matthew Lee did have some fast lap times, but I was watching, of course, a warm-up before this race here, as of course they have two different sessions. It was pretty interesting to see. I believe it was a couple of drivers like Moraine and of course even Derek Fulton were pretty fast on the lap times, so watch out for a couple of those drivers. Marty Porter, same deal. So a lot of these drivers who are starting in the back of the field could still make a pretty big impact in this race.
Yeah, Matthew Lee, I want to talk about him, though, as they go through the tunnel turn now, I believe. Turn 3. But Matthew Lee has won 9 races this season. Can he make 10 tonight? We'll find out in 35 laps. And here we go, Eli Warren. Looked like he wanted to get a little bit of a jump, though. Not going to happen for Eli, but yeah, I mean, imagine if he gets 10 wins in, I mean, we've ran 17 races. This will be, what, race 17? No, race 18 here tonight. So in 18 races, if he wins 10 of them, I mean, that's got to be some kind of record, I'd imagine.
Exactly, just dominating the season so far this year. I really think, of course, yeah, he is the driver to beat, the truck to beat as well, but you have to wait until Phoenix to see if he will actually be able to lift up that virtual trophy here in the FEG.
Homestead. We're still going to Homestead.
Are still going to Homestead. Okay, so
yep.
Yeah, that'll be
caution,
fun.
And we have a caution on lap 1. So keeping in theme with the real truck race that happened over the weekend, looks like I can't quite see who brought it out. Wasn't going, was it? No. I don't believe it was. Perhaps an admin caution? I didn't see anyone wreck. Yeah, no one. Might have been Chris Robertson. And it was all by himself. He was all the way back in 26, all by himself there, going through the tunnel turn. Looks like just got loose, maybe, coming off of the corner. Yep. And no, that's turn 1, not the tunnel turn, so I'll get it eventually. But yeah, off of 1, Robertson just got loose there, and that'll be caution number 1. Luckily, though, only a 1-truck spin, and not too bad of an incident even for Robertson. He didn't hit anything, didn't hit anyone. So he'll manage to keep that truck rolling and keep everything in good shape, as it were. But that being said, not a good way to start your night. Now, here's the interesting thing. Matthew Lee, the dominant driver so far, going on potentially what might be win number 10 here tonight. But he's not guaranteed to win this championship because don't forget, we still have a chase in the playoffs, or a playoff grid, chase grid. I'm going to call it a chase grid because I hate calling it the playoffs. But, 26 drivers make the initial round, so it's going to be hard to miss it. And then you go down to 13, 8, and then 6. But my point with this is, if Matthew Lee in those 4 races between 26 and 13 has, 1 or 2 bad races, I mean, that could be it. And 10 wins, 12 wins, however many wins he amasses by the start of the chase, could all be for naught.
Exactly. You bring up a perfect point that it's not about this regular season. It is about how well you can really do in the playoffs. You have to make it, just like you said, 26 trucks. It's not going to be the hardest thing to necessarily miss, indeed, but you have to be here basically week in, week out and grab every point you possibly can, which is exactly what Matthew Lee has been able to do. So he's almost guaranteed, or is guaranteed, a spot in the playoffs.
Oh, yeah, he's a points leader. Of course, yeah.
And of course, my point being, he's got to do well when it goes, or whenever, of course, that first round is, because we all know that schedule at the end is always mixed up, especially when NASCAR keeps changing it. So especially with these trucks, it's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah, right now, you have John Jenkins being the cut line, and Jay Felton is only 1 point off of that. Now, Jay Felton, I don't think is in the race tonight, nor is John Jenkins. But just a point to make that they are, right on top of each other for those positions.
And who's in 28th, or would they be in the race?
28th. Let's take a look. That is Braden Johnson. No, I don't think he's in the race here tonight. Tyler Pluff, I don't see him either. Andrew Melvin, no. I think a lot of drivers are sitting this race out tonight. Because even regular names like Carrion Church, I don't see him in tonight.
No, it shows. I mean, it's tricky triangle for a reason. That's what it's called, a 2.5-mile track, a 2.5-mile racetrack, just like, of course, Indianapolis Motor Speedway, that being, of course, that distance. And so, it's just a difficult track. You already saw one driver spin out in, turn 1, but it is just slippery around this whole racetrack. It's not going to eat up your tires, but you really do have to have great car control, great truck control here for tonight.
Yeah, we'll go green with 31 laps to go here. So the drivers kind of getting to stretch their legs. And the good thing here with this is going to be that I think if they're running a full fuel tank, they should be able to make it to the end. If it's a full fuel load, of course, which I don't think it is.
And even with that, it would all be about tires. You would expect them to try to make it the whole 35 laps on a set, but at that same time, if they were to get, let's say, another caution with close to 10 to go, you would expect them to dive down for at least right sides.
Yeah, we'll see how that plays out. Definitely 100% there on what you said. If you get that caution with 10 to go, at least right sides, if not 4 tires all around. I would imagine 4 tires all around probably going to be the norm, at least towards the end of the race. Tires are going to be a necessity here.
Exactly, and that's going to be just an interesting thing to look at for that strategy. But yes, just like we said, a shorter race, so this, of course, drivers will be racing, I think, a lot harder when it gets closer and closer to the end, which technically it's already close to the end, 35 laps, and we're going back racing with, about 31 to go, so yeah, it's going to be perfect.
Right here. Like I said, it's a mad dash to the finish, C-Fix style. If they go green to the end, we'll be in under an hour. And a good restart there by, I think that was Matthew Lee. Of course, it was Matthew Lee, our pole sitter and race leader. So it has been an eventful start to this race. Can they go the full lap here? Everyone down and through turns 1 and 2 fine. Now entering the tunnel turn. I'm so used to saying 1 and 2. This is turn 2 here at Pocono. But through the tunnel turn, Matthew Lee holding on to a pretty nice lead. And we get another caution. And looks like Chris Robertson's involved, Christopher Heights, and Marty Porter. So this is going to be a little bit of a bigger one. A few trucks blowing their motor, it looks like. And I saw one dive it off, and that was Porter. So Porter had a... Yeah, what happened to Marty Porter here? Tags Jesse Thornock, and Thornock comes back up into him. Now, I know the drivers are seeing there's not a lot of laps in this race, and they're probably getting in there a little over their heads right now, and that's probably leading to these cautions, because you saw Porter just getting a little bit aggressive, at least my opinion, and I think that's really what led to that. He just tagged Jesse there and sent Jesse up through the grass and then back up into him. And these guys, they got to remember, Pocono's a big track. 30 laps, it's not a lot, but it's still going to take a while. And they still got a lot of time to make things happen here tonight, you know, considering these cautions and considering just the length of this racetrack.
Exactly, 2.5 miles. That's why it's 35. That's why the race length was 35 laps. Now, of course, less than that. We're heading into the 20 laps to go, of course. But that big thing, just like you said, you want to get at least a couple of laps in your belt. Why? Because that allows you to single file out. We saw it on Saturday night with the Sim 500 League, where they were able to do exactly that, where just they got a little spread out and were able to really race each other from then on. I think when you're side by side, you get a little aggressive. You feel like if you're going to lose, especially if you're on the inside, if you're going to lose one spot, you're going to lose another one and another one down. Of course, that backstretch right before the tunnel turn and things like that. It just doesn't feel like it's going to go your way. And so when all of that happens, you want to race more aggressively. You don't want to give an inch. And, I mean, this track is big enough for them to do exactly that. But, yeah, of course, sometimes you should get these races where you have a couple of cautions because they just want to go. They want to be a little bit aggressive because they know that they'll get frustrated if they lose too many positions.
Yeah, without a doubt. And we'll just see how it all plays out. You know, they'll get 2 to go next time by. So they won't be under caution for long. I already see a few drivers, early pitters, that weren't involved in that wreck. So they might take this as a strategy potential. What do you think of that, Jacob?
That'll be interesting with, of course, that strategy. The best part is it's looking more and more like they won't necessarily have to pit too much. And so, yeah, they can save their fuel even if they're not necessarily running that full fuel load. I know, of course, iRacing has some problems right now with if you try to turn off the engine and don't hit the clutch, that it kind of stalls out your race truck. So that's not necessarily a great thing, but if they keep it in 4th gear and not necessarily hit that gas, they can save a good amount of fuel.
And it'll be interesting to see just how this strategy all going to work out. While we're under caution, let's dial up. We'll dial up our race leader, Matthew Lee. If he's out there to be dialed up, I actually don't see him, unfortunately. See David Santini, Kenneth. Oh, there he is. I looked right over him, unfortunately. There we go. There's Matthew Lee. So, Matt, have you got a copy on us?
Yeah, I got you guys.
Well, we're working our second caution here. I mean, I'm sure you're liking it, getting to lead laps and not put too much wear on that truck. But, you know, what's your strategy for when we do get into some green flag running?
Biggest thing's just taking care of the truck. Keep out of trouble and not burn the tires off it.
Now, you like this racetrack, you don't like it. Where do you stand on Pocono as a whole?
Okay, it's a lot of fun. It's definitely technical. You know, got quite a few laps here this week, so got a pretty good feel for it.
Now, the biggest question I think everyone watching this has, 9 wins. You think we can see number 10 here tonight?
Everything goes right. I don't see a reason why not.
All right, well, thanks for talking to us, and best of luck to you.
Thanks, guys.
All right, that was Matthew Lee there, and Jacob, we're getting ready to go back green. Peyton Howell to his outside. behind him, Jake Hunchell. If you were to pick a driver to win this race, who would you pick?
I think I would definitely. The obvious choice here would most likely be Matthew Lee with just the hot streak that he's going on, but I'm going to pick somebody different. And I think that Jason Hunchell is going to beat everybody for that race win, and it might be a 1-2 for the Hunchells.
It'll be interesting to see. I mean, it's hard to bet against Matthew Lee, but I'm going to say Peyton Howell scores a win here tonight. It would be his first one of the season. I mean, he's up to second. He's had good trucks under him all season. Let's see what he does tonight.
Exactly, a fantastic driver as well. He's gotten a lot of top threes here this season. We've gotten to interview him a couple of times for sure. So always a great driver. We know he's very skilled and young, so he will be just competing for championships in the near future for sure. Because, yeah, we all know he's got some promise to him if he keeps at it. So a nice job of him being on the outside of Matthew Lee.
All right, I'll let you get the green here, coming to lap 9.
All right, well, here we go. The pace car down and away. All up to Matthew Lee. We're back racing here at Pocono.
Good restart there. Look at Peyton Howell trying to get by Matthew Lee. Lee has to go up to block. And they are right all over the back bumper of that number 04 truck down into turn 1. And off of
Lee's
one.
Gonna get that better exit and did exactly that. And now, of course, you see trucks up front kind of single filing out. The only competition right now is the 51 truck of Jake Hunchell decided to back off of the 46 truck there, Peyton Howell, so they'll stay single file out.
Yeah, it is single file at the moment up front. Not for long, though. Kenneth McCullough Jr. to the inside of Eli Warren, trying to get by him. A little bit of contact with the apron there, rumble strip. Not going to affect him too badly. If anything, helped him. Kenneth gets by. That'll be for 6th.
Nice job
there
to get exactly Kenneth McCullough Jr. A nice job to get to the 6th position. He started 5th, so he's just gonna have to ride it out at the moment.
And look at this, Jason Hunchell. You talked about the Hunchells going 1-2. Well, here's a good chance for it. He's trying to get by Matthew Lee. Had him held off for a moment there, but Lee powers back down into the tunnel turn now. And Matthew Lee will get that spot back, but what a run there for Jason. Now he's got Jake in tow behind him.
Exactly, and that's what they really need to do at the moment. Just really work together as much as possible, because that's the only way that you're going to be able to compete with that 04 truck. Right now, he's got the fresh air, which of course Matthew T. Lee does, and that helps you handle your truck so much better. We've talked to drivers so much, especially with that fixed setup. The car or truck or whatever you're driving just handles so much better with that clean air. So as long as they can really be as close as possible to try to make an effort to pass them, then that's all that you can really ask for.
Yeah, you're working 3 wide, though. A little bit further back was that Chad Ross up the middle, I want to say. No, Ross was ahead of that. That was Derek Fulton who was in the middle in that 94 blue machine. So some very close racing around here. And you had the 45, Richard Knott, in the middle of that as well. In that, I think the only Ford in the field here tonight. I think he's the only one. I haven't seen anyone other than that 45.
It's looking like he is the only Ford truck out there, which was interesting. We expected to see a lot more Ford trucks out there, especially when it came out, but it looks like it's really stayed Chevy and Toyota, because a lot of drivers, I guess, know that truck a little bit better, even though for the most part they're kind of the same speed in general. And of course the Ford, I think, is just a little bit faster on some cases, especially since, of course, you got Matt Crafton winning a lot in the Truck Series.
Yeah, the Ford tends to run a little bit looser, is what I've found. Now, that usually is a good thing, but at a track like Pocono, I don't know if it really is. I would assume, I mean, you know, loose is always fast, but Pocono, with the way this track is and the corners are, I always kind of want a little bit of a tighter car under my, under me, as opposed to something a little bit on the free side. So I would imagine that might be why we see the Fords not too popular here tonight, and you see him running right there around 12th. But I think back to Iowa, loose lug nuts race at Iowa we did a few weeks ago, and the Fords there weren't a lot of them, but there was about 4 of them, and man, did they dominate, because on the long run, they were looser, and you think about it, it's short track, loose is fast, and it really showed.
Yeah, I get that 100% for sure, that those Fords can be fast when you need them to be, especially at short tracks like that. And yeah, normally at the long track, even in real life, as we saw in the truck race, the fantastic truck race that was on Sunday, that we saw a couple of, or the battle basically for the lead with 2 Chevys and Toyota as well.
And right now, we're still watching this battle for around 10th place with Derek Fulton, Richard Knott, and Jim Westerfield, Jeffrey Radtake. These guys can throw a sheet over them, blind them all. They're right on top of each other, and there is not any give. But amazingly, they're keeping it clean. Look at Marty Porter as well, trying to get his way into the battle. Porter's got a really, and Porter was involved in that wreck earlier, but he's got a fast truck under him now. I'm surprised we haven't seen him win more races here tonight, you know? Or not tonight, but this season, I should say.
Exactly. He's had some bad luck with him. He's been right there at the end of races, especially at mile and a half racetracks is where you would normally see him close up front. Looks like he's going to dive down.
With the wall.
Exactly. I saw one truck dive down into pit lane, but yeah, a little bit of contact with the wall. Didn't slow him down too badly, but for sure allowed his opponent to catch up.
Yeah, that was Jim Westerfield who hit the pits there in that Chevy. I'm not sure why he's pitting right now, unless that is a scheduled stop. If it is, it's an interesting strategy. If it's not, then he's really hurt himself with 20 laps to go this time around. Look at this battle for the lead. Jake Hunshell, Matthew T. Lee. I mean, Lee's not giving up any ground, but Hunshell trying to pull away.
Exactly, and that is a huge thing. Both him and, of course, yeah, Matthew T. Lee right there, trying to stay right beside him, or right behind him as close as possible. Yeah, I don't think that Jake Hunshell is really going to be able to pull a gap, at least this early in this race, until those tires really start to come into effect and really start to wear out to where you can get that type of separation. Because right now, Matthew Lee's just using that draft as much as possible down that front stretch.
And Matthew Lee just doing a fantastic job of it. You can see here he's to his inside again. Side by side here through the tunnel turn. And looks like Lee's going to get the better run off. That bottom line, we've seen it with these trucks, Jacob. It's kind of a little bit of an opposite than, say, what we saw, you know, last night or on Saturday night with the Cup car, where the middle line, at least through the other corners, was the preferred line. And now with the trucks, you're seeing that bottom line really is where you want to be.
Exactly, it'll switch, and look at that. Trying to make a pass, I believe, is going to be Jake Hunshell trying to get that lead right back. He's got the preferred line on the inside. Just like you said, that's been that dominant line, so nice job there. And that 14 truck of Jason Hunshell trying to get that second place, wasn't able to clear him, so he'll be right back in third.
Yeah, Jake's got the lead. Lee is second, and you said Jason third. Well, your 1-2 finish prediction, man, if Jason can get by him, get by Matthew Lee, he's not got too much ground to close with, about 2 or 3 truck lanes. I mean, you're almost spot on with that 1-2 finish. But it looks like Christopher McKeedith, he's got something to say about it as he goes to the inside of Jake Hunshell, or Jason Hunshell, rather. Tags the apron rumble strips and gonna wash up the racetrack. Saw another truck in pit lane, so I would imagine these guys are going to have to make one pit stop. So I tell you what, the drivers that pitted under those 2 cautions we had, they might have just had a race-winning strategy with that.
They might have. We'll see how much those tires do matter here, especially in the shortened race. We've seen it as well, just like we said in the Cup race, and we saw it even at I know it's a totally different track, but at New Hampshire with the Xfinity race cars, how those tires, just of course the seconds in general, it was about maybe half a second faster or something like that when you put on new tires. So that could play a huge factor to where if you wait a little longer, you won't necessarily have to worry about tire wear at all.
And look at this. Here's a driver we haven't talked about a lot tonight, Scott Glaslow. He is having an incredible run. Looking on the back bumper of Peyton Howell, he wants that 5th place. And he's got Kenneth McCullough Jr. knocking on his back door as well. So you've got, what, a 3-way battle for 5th or 2-way battle for 5th? I don't know how you'd want to call that. I'd call it a 3-way battle. But, you know, any way you want to slice it, you got some exciting racing for 5th place. You got exciting racing back here with Chad Ross. Point I'm making here, you got exciting racing all over this racetrack, anywhere you look. But we'll take a look at the battle for 5th here as Scott Glaslow makes a move on Peyton Howell into this tunnel turn. And it's going to work. But he's going to wash up. Peyton will get a chance to cross him over into 3.
Look at that. Peyton Howell really had that run. He didn't capitalize, though.
You know what? I think he was smart because he had a great run, and you're 100% right. But A, it looks like he's going to pit, so it looks like there was a strategy there. But B, judging by the run, it looked like he was going to be going in a little too hot. I don't know about you, but I mean, I just saw the speed in that truck, and it looked like he might have gone in there. If he had stuck that, would have gone in, maybe hit that rumble strip, and I think he would have washed up after that corner anyway.
Exactly, that is a good point as well. Luckily for the both of us there, no caution at all. He just went straight into pit lane to get some 4 fresh Goodyear tires and some fuel, and he'll be back out and away. So he'll be put in a good position once again. This is going to come down to strategy if they can keep it green here.
Yeah, Lee just exited pit road, by the way, too. So he's made his one in. If we stay green, knock on wood, pray to whatever higher power you believe in. Only pit stop of the night. Like I said, if they stay green, this guy, well, Derek Fulton's coming in again. This will be his 3rd stop, so it would appear if you pitted under caution, you definitely didn't have enough to go to the distance. So never mind that strategy as Fulton's in again. Looks like he picked up a little bit of damage, too. I don't know where that came along. He came in for a fast fix. And they'll put the right sides up. Let's see if he does 4 all the way around. I would imagine at this point you would. I don't see the benefit to 2. And he does, so that'll be pretty much a fresh truck that he's got. Well, your 1-2 finish, Jacob. Here you go. They're running in that order. Now they just got to keep doing it for 15 more laps, which is an eternity here at Pocono.
Exactly. It's basically a road course is how I would really put it into perspective as well, because of how long, of course, this racetrack is. It does beat up almost all 4 of your racing tires, and there we go, Jake Hunchell in pit lane.
Yeah, both Hunchells down pit lane.
I believe he'll be followed.
Yep, both of them down pit lane. I wonder if that was intentional, and I'm sure it was. We'll both hit the pits at the same time.
It's all going to be about where they come out, if they're going to come out ahead of course. Of course, Matthew Lee, which I believe Lee has already pitted.
Oh, look at that. The
that
14.
Is kind of.
Sorry to cut you off, Jacob, but the 14, I mean, he overshot his box by almost a box and a half, had to reverse into his pit stall. He is going to lose an insane amount of time on pit road, Jacob. Everyone, him, McCullough, Keene, Porter, I didn't see who that red truck was, but everyone exiting pit lane as he was just getting the right sides up. Looks like he might have lost at least 3 or 4 spots on pit road there.
Exactly, Brian. As I was in that, and you brought it up too. I saw him into his pit box, so bad luck for Jason Hunchell, but Jake Hunchell in a good position. Sadly, of course, he doesn't have his teammate, his buddy out there, so well, he does, but of course, his buddy's just a little bit too far away at the moment, so he'll just have to gain that time right back.
He'll be racing right around Peyton Howell now. Peyton pitted ahead of him, and he'll get by him. You'll notice here, I mean, it's what, maybe a 2 or 3 lap difference at most between these tires, and you'll notice the big difference between them. Tires make all the difference here at Pocono.
Exactly, and we're 23 laps into this race on a 35-lap race, and already those tires really making a huge difference indeed, just like we touched up on it. 3-lap old tires compared to fresh tires, it's just, yeah, it's monumental for sure.
Now, here's the big question for you, Jacob, or what do you think the drivers are doing, I should say. Now, with C-Fix, I did some C-Fix races last week, and the way the gearing ratio was, you shifted into the corners, and you gained a lot of time by doing that. Do you think these drivers are shifting too? You think there's drivers that aren't shifting? I would imagine most of them are.
Exactly. I think there's some drivers that aren't necessarily shifting too much because maybe they're saving some fuel if they pitted a little bit early.
Well,
but either way, they should be able to make it the end in general. But either way, it's also, yeah, some of these some drivers just in general on iRacing don't even know about that factor, that key at Pocono, that you have to shift down at least into turn 3 and at least into turn 1. Sometimes you don't necessarily have to downshift in the tunnel turn because I think that would just lose you too much time.
Yeah, depending on how you run your lap, you're 100% right. You carry enough speed through that tunnel turn, and you don't always have to shift, although sometimes it benefits you. But with turn 3, it being that wide, flat, sweeping corner, you want to shift down. You want to get as much or extra RPM as you can out of that motor for that track off. And you mentioned the corners. Well, let's talk about those corners. For those of you that may not know, and I'm sure most do if you're watching this, but in case you don't, these corners are modeled after 3 different racetracks. Turn number 1 is modeled after Trenton Motor Speedway in New Jersey, a long torn down and probably mostly forgotten racetrack, and it's pretty cool because it gives us a little bit of a glimpse of what that corner may have been like. Of course, Old Pocono is a little bit more similar because it doesn't have the runoff area. Turn 2 is modeled after Indianapolis's corners, and I'd say they're pretty close, if not a little bit longer than Indy's corner. And turn 3, the long sweeping flat corner, is modeled after none other than one of the oldest racetracks in America, the Milwaukee Mile. And again, yeah, it's pretty close, but I think when you go back to the pre-repave Pocono, NASCARization Pocono, if you will, I'd say it's a little bit closer. The thing I'm hinting at here, if you couldn't tell, is I like Pocono before repave a little bit better. What about you, Jacob?
I think it's a little bit of both. I know I've driven it a lot more on this repaved surface, so I didn't necessarily know a lot, or I didn't run a lot with that old Pocono, basically. So, yeah, I can't necessarily say it too much, but for sure it's nice to have a smooth paved racetrack every single time that you come down here, even on the iRacing server. Of course, since the tire wear is not too bad, so you know that you can push a little bit longer. Now the package, that's a different story, but for sure I think I like this pretty well indeed.
Yeah, I have more of my experience because I really started getting into broadcasting when around this track came out more and more. So I have a lot more experience on the old Pocono, which is probably why I'm inclined to like it a bit more. But there's something about it just, and I don't know if it is, but it just feels so much narrower and like there's a lot more room for stuff to go wrong. And it's a level of excitement that, not that the revamped version of this track lacks, but just something that you can't capture the same way. I don't know if that makes sense.
I think it makes sense a little bit for sure. I believe this revamped, repaved Pocono was remodeled or modeled after just trying to keep the Cup drivers safer. They kind of made it tougher for IndyCar drivers for sure. If you were to run an IndyCar race here, it does feel narrower and much tougher. Those IndyCars around here, which is just a challenge in general itself. So for sure, yeah, I see what you're saying, but I do like this version really good too.
Yeah, well, don't get me wrong. Both versions of this track are amazing fun to not only broadcast but to race. Pocono is just a great track in general. Although the current package we have is a bit lacking in the Cup car. Hopefully the Gen 7 will fix that. I would say next year, but unfortunately 2 years from now. Christopher McKeaton trying to get by Derek Fulton. Can he do it? Yes, he can. Maybe not. Going through 3 now. There it goes. This will be the pass for 6th here, Jacob. And what about McKeaton here tonight? He's had a great run, and we haven't talked about him all that much.
Exactly right. As you said that he kind of went for the block. Now he's on that inside line. He's doing a fantastic. Basically from Derek Fulton, so Fulton will be on his outside, but he's leaving a little bit of room for that 03, and now he had to check up.
That way, he had to check up because he got so loose there. That really upset the handling on that 19. Derek Fulton says, hey, I'm faster. I want to be in front of you, and I think it would be wise if he does. Oh, look at Kenneth McCullough got all bent out of shape there. Man, under 10 to go, and things are getting dicey. This isn't even for the lead either, and things are getting like this, you know?
Exactly. We said it's under 10 to go, so drivers know that they have to be a little more aggressive than they have been all race long. And, of course, we say that they've been pretty aggressive all race long either way. But my point being, yeah, exactly. This isn't for that race lead, but this is for a good top 10.
Right now, just watching Scott Glasgow trying to hold off Derek Fulton. Derek Fulton's on a mission right now. He wants that 4th spot, and I think he intends to get it. Looks like Matthew Lee might have dropped off with the connection issue. There it is. He's back. So just some close racing all around. 5 to go at the stripe.
A little bit of the race lead. Looks like it's more of a 2-horse race. David Santini is kind of right there. He lost a little bit of time going into turn 1, what I also like to call turn 2, but people say that I am wrong, that this track has 6 corners. That's besides the point here. Looks like the 99er David Santini doing a pretty good job of trying to catch the 04 truck of Matthew Lee. I think he's got time to do it. The only question is, will he be able to make a move when that time comes?
Right now, 4 laps to go at the stripe, and this is going to be a great battle. Both drivers have won races this season. It's going to be the matter of, well, actually, no, I'm looking at this. Yeah, no, David Santini, I was about to say, I knew he won at least one this season. Yeah, he won at Auto Club. So Santini going for win number 2. Matthew Lee, and again, folks, get this. Win number 10, yes, you heard me right, win number 10 is on the table for Matthew Lee here tonight. I mean, really, can you believe that? 10 wins, Jacob, potentially.
It is unbelievable for sure. One thing that I am catching from Matthew Lee, how he's driving this racetrack at the moment, down that front stretch, you saw how the 99 truck was able to catch right up to his back bumper. Exactly. He was letting off that throttle. He wasn't trying to go full throttle for sure.
Well, we'll ride in car with him. Let's listen if he clutches it. Yeah, I don't know if he's clutching it, but you're right. You can hear him. I mean, watch his Watch the tack gauge here, folks, as he goes down into one. You're not going to see it down the back front stretch right now. He's got Lee all over him. But watch as he goes down into one here with 3 to go. I guarantee you'll see that drop. And I don't think he's shifting either. Now there's the shift. You heard it right there. And he'll shift up probably right around. Not quite, but... yeah, he's playing with that fuel. And that might not have been a shift. That probably was just the engine backfiring on us. So, yeah, he is not shifting and just trying to save fuel. Like he said, he's got 2 more laps to go at the stripe. And caution, so he'll have at least 3 more laps to go. Eli Warren around. Eli Warren turned. Racing around James Roth, and I don't know if James Roth was mad at him or not, but Roth just got into him. Gonna give James the benefit of the doubt there, but one way or another, we're gonna go green, we're gonna go white, we're gonna go checkers. Does Matthew T. Lee have enough to go to the distance? Does David Santini? Because I guarantee you, no one's gonna pit. Not with 2 laps to go, Jacob.
Exactly. I don't expect anybody to pit either. It's going to be tires that you basically have on. It's one of those things, once again, that maybe if the leader pits, you stay out, and maybe if the leader stays out, you decide to pit. That's if, of course, a lot of drivers come with you. But just like you said, yeah, I don't see them pitting.
And we'll see what happens here. I mean, you think we're going to see anyone pit? I can't see anyone pitting, to be honest.
Yeah, like I said, I don't really see anybody pitting. It could be one of those situations where maybe the leader pits and everybody stays out, but I doubt Matthew Lee would decide to do that.
Yeah, I don't see anyone maybe top 5 pitting. Maybe we'll see 6th place on back pit, and that could make for an interesting 2 laps here.
Exactly. I think if you're in the back of the pack, let's say maybe 6 on back. Look at that. Matthew
Wow.
Lee decides to pit. Everybody dives down.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe everyone needed the fuel, but yeah, no, everyone's pitting. Looks like Jay Dargent stays out, and James Roth. Jesse Thornock as well. So we'll be right back, folks. We'll take it to a quick caution cam. as we rock down the back straightaway. 2 laps to go. That's what it's scheduled. Is it the only GWC of the night, Jacob?
Officially, we will have, if we don't get this one done, then we will have to get it done at least one more time. We have 2 chances at a green, white, and checkered.
So we have one more attempt after this. The big question going to be, can they do it? I'm going to say no, and only for the fact you have, what, 3 drivers that didn't pit out front? I mean, it's a wide track into one, but I don't think it's that wide.
Exactly, those... You basically, top 2, I guess.
Top 3, Medina.
Exactly, there we go. Top 3 there did not. So, yeah, it's going to be exciting. Look at that, they're holding everybody up, too.
Well, you don't know. We don't know what's going to happen here. He might have gotten away. Jay might have gotten a big enough of a jump there.
What I meant to say there was actually he backed everybody up for that restart, too.
Oh, they're 4 wide going into 1. Oh, they're wrecking. James Roth, it's big. Oh, man, that's a big one. But Jay Dargent held on to the lead. Kenneth McCullough Jr.'s on his lid. Yeah, that was big. Yeah, they were, I count 1, 2, 3, 4, I think 5 wide. Kenneth McCullough Jr., Jake Hunshaw, I think Jason got through that. Jose Medina on his lid. Todd Keen's involved. Let's watch from on board Todd Keen. Man, I kind of figured they wouldn't be able to get through it, but man, I thought they'd go at least further than a corner.
For the block, didn't get it, and so just slid in the grass and slid back up the racetrack, and there it was.
Jay Dargent, he'll be the only driver on old tires left, as everyone else unfortunately wrecked. But, well, you say we have one more attempt at this. We'll see how it plays out. We'll be right back.
definitely running. It's not going to make it, Todd. You can't make it to the end of the race.
And we're back. Thank you for that introduction there, Jacob. Yeah, I was gonna mention that. Yeah, Todd Keene running on fumes, smoke, whatever you want to call it. I don't know what he's doing, but that's not a smart strategy.
Well, it's like in Speed Racer when he smokes out everybody behind him, basically, kind of like that.
Yeah, that's his strategy right there. He's gonna get eaten alive. Oh, he's going down pit lane. Smart man. There's your restart. Jay Dargent out and away. Let's see, can they get through this? They got to do 2 laps here. Oh, no, he's not going down pit lane. He's just going to the back of the field. Todd, what are you doing, my man? I mean, come on now. 3 wide, 4 wide. Man, they were 3 wide off into 1 there. It was widened, but that's still narrow to go 3 by 3. Oh, they're wrecking. Jay Dargent, is he going to win it? Yes, he is. How about that, Jacob?
Yeah, I'm kind of speechless right now.
Man in heaven, I could not have predicted that.
Exactly, yeah. Hunchell gets turned around and ends up to beat Matthew Lee. It was kind of a drag race up until, of course, the caution showed.
His highest finish prior to this, 6th place at Martinsville. He finished 25th at Indy last week. Man, oh man. And you know what? I mean, he stayed out. The caution before, he stayed out because, I mean, he was going for it. Jake Hunchell, or Jason, Jake, I'm not sure which one. One of the Hunchells got turned around. Caution came out right when he needed it. You knew if they went green to the end there, he was about to get passed by Matthew Lee. He was going to get eaten alive.
Exactly, Matthew Lee was going to pass him and sell a victory, just like we saw, I think, in the truck race yesterday, too, where it was a close race up until, of course, that final lap there.
I mean, he won that.
I forget who was able to win, but yeah.
I mean, look at when the caution came out. You can see when the lights come on. Right about there, he won that by what? A truck length? 2 truck lengths at most? As you can see it on that wide angle, yeah, he won that by 2 truck lengths. So how about that for a win? Let's take a look at what started this wreck off. Looks like... So it was Jason Hunchell. Christopher McKee tried to put himself in the middle there, and... yeah, just tags Jason there, sends him around. David Santini's in it. Looks like Scott Glasgow, Richard Knott. But, man, I mean, what a win for Jay Dargent. You know he's going to be happy. You know we're going to talk to him. We're going to bring him up here right now. I mean, I don't think even he was predicting to go to victory lane. Jay, have you got a copy on us? Jay, are you there?
Yes, sir, I am.
Man, I mean, talk about everything falling your way. You got a great restart the first one. You got a great one the second one, and the caution came out right before you got passed by Matthew Lee. A minute later, and you would have been second. How's it feel?
You know what? Some days you're the dog, and some days you're the fire hydrant, man. This is pretty good for me, man. The little teamwork, pit strategy, that kind of stuff. Good times, man.
Yeah, what a finish. How'd that car handle for you tonight?
Beginning of the race, it was really good, and then I pushed up and tapped the wall coming out of 3 there, put a little whiskey blister in the right front. Then after that, I just kind of had to play a little catch up and be patient and let the chips fall. And then when that other caution came out, I just decided to stay out and see if I could be better than 18th where I was and see what happens.
Now, were you expecting to win a race here tonight when you came into this, or is this just kind of icing on the cake?
It's a total icing, man. Big, thick layer of it.
All right. Well, anyone you want to thank, sponsors, that kind of thing?
Yeah, first and foremost, my wife, who lets me sit back here in this room and race with all these guys, plus the other series I run. And then also our main sponsor, the United States Marines, and Mastercraft Painting out of Carson City, Nevada.
All right, well, thank you for talking to us, man, and great job on the finish.
Thanks for having me, fellas. This is great fun.
All right, folks, we'll get Matthew Lee up in here. Actually, we're going to go down to talk to Matthew Lee. So, Jacob, if you'll follow me into general.
All right.
All right, and Jacob with Matthew Lee in just a moment. As soon as Jacob joins us in here. There we go. So, Jacob, take it away with Matt Lee.
All right. Matthew Lee, how you doing?
Oh, not too bad, you guys.
Well, not necessarily the finish that you wanted. Of course, the caution came out. We all knew that you were probably going to get it at the end, but take us through, I guess, at the start of the race, take us through that strategy.
Yeah, I knew if it went green there, we only needed to take one stop, take it about halfway. And I saw David pit, and I knew I couldn't wait too long or else he was really going to gain a lot of time on me. And I wanted to get in there before the two guys that were right behind me. So that's when I decided to come down pretty quick. And we're looking good there.
Yeah, exactly, for sure. How's that truck handling for you? I know you said it handled good at the start of the race, but was it really that good?
Yeah, I was just saving my tires there, letting David catch me burning this stuff up. I think I had it pretty well sewed up for the caution.
All right, and of course, hey, you get second place, good points day. Anybody that you like to thank?
Yeah, I gotta thank Phantom Graphics for coming on. Check them out over on Facebook. They're running a $20 special this month for paint schemes and GTR simulators. They've been awesome.
All right, well, hey, it's not the one that you wanted, but hey, congratulations on second.
Yeah, definitely good points. Nice. Thanks, guys.
All right, folks, from all of us at ASN, we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. We'll see you all in the next one.